You know what an infection AU is? If you clicked on this video, you probably know what How to Train Your Dragon is. So let's just go down with it. So an Instagram user known as Sneepsnob would decide to combine the two, making an infection AU of How to Train Your Dragon, which is one of my favorite movie franchises. Some of the dragons are already terrifying enough. Now imagine them a lot more deformed. Keep in mind, there is a lot of content in here that does revolve around the Netflix shows and stuff that's just not from the movie, though it's more so just dragons and minor characters. Nothing massive lore-wise that you really have to understand. Also, the order that I'm presenting the story in may not be the exact order the artist had in mind, and that is because the artist's Instagram account got banned and they had to repost everything throughout their various social media accounts, all in different orders. But I'll try my best. Just sit back and relax as I cover the How to Train Your Dragon infection AU. Hey, remember when How to Train Your Dragon had that MMO? We start off by being introduced to this infection, starting with Toothless and his symptoms. The style of these slides are based on that of the Dragon Book from the original movie. Phase 1. No noticeable differences. Slight increase in thirst or decrease in appetite may occur. Phase 2. 3 to 5 days. Tear ducts, sinuses, and ear canals begin to leak fluid. Appetite is nearly gone, and thirst is greatly increased. The dragon will become lethargic. Phase 3. 1 week. The eyes begin to fail, the scales of the dragon fade, and it will rapidly lose weight. The dragon will only move to drink. This stage marks the doom of the dragon. It can no longer be saved. Phase 4, 9 to 12 days. It is at this stage when the eyes rot out of the head and the scales fall off. The inside of the mouth dries and shrivels up. It would be far more merciful to kill the dragon now, otherwise it will continue to suffer as its remaining conscience is eaten away. Phase 5, 2 to 4 weeks. It appears that the dragon has finally died. It's alive and hostile. Next we move on to learning about Stormfly and a few other dragons. Stormfly. Status: injured, not infected. Stormfly was attacked by Toothless's husk. I'm certain of this, for we share similar bite marks. She shows no symptoms of the illness after weeks of being bitten, but me and my team will continue watching her closely. She's showing signs of trauma, clearly distraught by what she experienced that night. Barf and belch. Status: infected. Stage 2. Barf shows the symptoms of the illness. Perhaps, if he's removed, the other head can survive. Barf and belch. Status: unsure. Barf was successfully removed, with sedatives of course, and after a few days, Belch has no symptoms. We're going to keep them in quarantine, and I'm keeping the head to study. Barf: status: deceased. I cut open and studied Barf's head. What I found sickened me. Crawling in the nasal eye cavity and in the tissue what looked like white worms. They were only a little larger than maggots, but longer in shape. Perhaps this illness is parasitic. Maybe it has to do with a certain body of water, or even the fish caught in it. No, they don't like being incinerated. The Light Fury. Status: uninfected. The Light Fury has reluctantly allowed Hiccup to fit her with Toothless's old gear, so that they can find and dispatch him. She's still reluctant to attack the husk of Toothless, but she allows Hiccup to ride her and look for more information about the illness. Hook Fang. Status: uninfected. Snotlout and Hook Fang have stepped up and act as Burke's main defenders. Gobber even fashioned some makeshift armor for Hook Fang out of some shields and scrap metal. Hook Fang does not hesitate to scorch any husks in sight, and he offers even more aggression to Toothless's rotten husk. But I've seen how difficult it can be for Hook Fang to rest, likely in fear that another corpse may attack. The parasites and their hosts have a strong aversion to heat, which leads me to believe why Hook Fang hasn't gotten sick, despite eating fish from what my team suspects is infected water. I think its habit of setting itself ablaze is what kills the parasites before they can take hold. Meatlug. Status: not infected. All of this mess going on has left Meatlug nervous. She's been more sensitive to noises outside and she's grown much more protective of me. I make sure to cut open, check, and cook her fish before she eats. It's time consuming and she doesn't like the wait, but I can't afford to lose Meatlug to the parasites. I don't trust anyone else to check her fish either. It's a good thing that her main diet consists of stones. There's no risks in that meal. Cloudjumper. Status: Valka and Cloudjumper have returned from an expedition through what was formerly Grimmel's territory in order to free the remaining trapped dragons, despite sending terrible terrors with warnings. She told me she hasn't heard news of the recent plague up to now. After explaining the issue to her, she seemed very distraught. She's familiar with this ailment. She said that before the death of her allied Bewilderbeast, she occasionally saw dragons with the symptoms that were quickly dispatched by other dragons, or even frozen solid by the alpha himself. Cloudjumper doesn't show any signs of the illness right now, but I'm keeping an eye on him. Cloudjumper. Status: infected. Stage 2. Diluted changewing acid, cup of ale and water, 1 spoon acid. It's been 6 days. It took a day longer for Cloudjumper to show the symptoms. It may be due to his larger size. Valka, my team, and I have been working tirelessly for a cure, while it's still possible. We've been keeping Cloudjumper subdued with herbs and mead so he won't feel pain, while we try to drive out the parasites. I drilled some small holes beneath his horns and his snout plates to flush his sinuses with salt water, heavily diluted, change-wing acid, smoke, heat, then more salt water. Between these skull and sinus flushes, we keep him in a tamed fireworm nest where the queen can watch over him while he recovers. I'll write more if he starts to improve. I think we've done it. We finally had a breakthrough. Cloudjumper, although weak and dehydrated, has regained his appetite. He also seems more energetic. We're going to keep flushing his system until we can be sure that he's free from the parasites. I theorize that this method won't work for the aquatic and non-fire-breathing dragons. Nightmares, squirrels, even if they're not fire-based, their electricity heats more than the parasites can handle. Squirrels are also noticeably intelligent, which helps. And most other high-heat boulder-class dragons are safe. Fireworms are completely immune. On a darker note, I received more and more reports of infected dragons. I pray it's just paranoia among the dragons, but I can only expect the worst and hope for the best. For now, the fireworms are our best hope to cure our dragons. Skull Crusher, not infected. I found a new way of catching infected dragons in their earlier stages thanks to Skull Crusher. I learned this after Skull Crusher grew anxious and even defensive after catching the scent of someone's Snafflefang. It appears that the Rumblehorn's keen sense of smell can detect the toxins produced by the parasites. I'm going to deploy the use of Rumblehorns to check everyone's dragons so that they can be cured before it's too late. I'll ask for volunteers and let them take turns sniffing for the illness, as it's too stressful for the Rumblehorn to be doing for more than an hour at a time. The cured. I've been constantly perfecting the cure and methods with each sick dragon found, but there's still only a 10% chance of survival at best. Only some of the cured dragons have no lasting damage. The vast amount receive lifelong impairments. Many of them lose their sense of balance and coordination. Even more are left blind. I'll keep developing the cure. I just hope Hiccup and the Light Fury return soon. It's been over a week. Figure number 1, Snafflefang. Found to later show symptoms days after Skull Crusher found it blind. Otherwise fine. Figure number 2, cured Hobblegrum. No lasting damage. Windshear. Heather arrived almost a week after the message about the parasites was received on Berserker Island. She was instantly helpful, despite having no prior knowledge of the parasites. She wanted to bring her brother, Dagger, but apparently he had business to take care of, whatever that means. Heather's most recent journey was to the Wing Maiden's island. They taught her a lot about Windshear, her Razorwhip. They both lived together in harmony after all. Upon her return, she told me something astounding. Razorwhips are apparently immune to the parasites. This may be due to their sea slug diet, something to do with their toxins. Whatever the case, I must research further with Windshear and the slugs she eats. Maybe even attempt to contaminate her to confirm this theory. As exciting as this is, I'm afraid to tell Roughnut. What we just read was an introduction to this whole world and its infection. Toothless being the first one infected? That's tragic, man. But that's just infection AU rule of thumb. Your favorites are either going to be dead or infected. Though it's kind of funny that it's the poster boy. I like how we got a potential cure this early. It's definitely an interesting way to present the infection AU. The infection coming from a fish parasite. Pescatarians are probably freaking out right now. Now the next part I'm about to show you is a comic that gives us another perspective in this whole world. The video starts with Hiccup and the Light Fury at the lake where Toothless got infected. We then skip to a shot of Astrid and Hiccup's mom on the search for Hiccup. They eventually find him around a fire and are astounded to see him, though Hiccup's eyes give off a look of trauma. The relief on the two women's faces then changes to concern when they notice that Hiccup's arm is gone. Hiccup, tell me who did this. You think you can kill him with that? If you tried, Toothless would rip you apart. No blade can kill him now. The Light Fury can't help us anymore. What? You mean? His mom questions how he survived, which, that's when Dagger appears. If you guys don't remember him, he was from the Netflix animated series. We then get a series of flashbacks where Hiccup revisits Toothless being infected, the Light Fury being killed, Hiccup losing his arm, and Toothless being attacked by Sluther, yet somehow surviving. Honestly, this was just a cool way to watch the story unfold rather than just relying on those book pages. Hiccup with the 1,000-yard stare. I mean, he lost his arm and his best friend. I think the look in his eyes is a lot more terrifying than any of the dragon designs we've seen so far. It's so uncanny. And the design of infected Toothless, it's unsettling. Need I say more? There's also a series of comics revolving around Barf and Belch, as well as the twins. One where Barf's head is about to get cut off, and another where Belch is all scared. Let's take a look. This is some tragic stuff. I actually owned the McDonald's toy for Barf and Belch, so seeing them in this state is just so tough. I'd bet they'd also be sad to find out that the live-action twins look nothing alike, or that TJ Miller as well. TJ Miller. Now what I'm about to show you is a series of info dumps regarding various dragons in the How to Train Your Dragon world. Like I said earlier, these dragons go beyond the 3 movies. An infected Thunderdrum is a much different threat than its former self. It doesn't take long for the decay to destroy the dragon's lungs and vocal cords, so deafening foes is no longer an option. Beaches should only be visited if necessary, because these husks tend to hide in sand and mud. If any unfortunate victims wanders too close, the beast will snap them in an instant to provide its hide with more nutrients. Curious, the behavior is like that of a Sandwrath. An infected Sandwrath often takes a curious measure to repair its dying body. Using sand, rather than blasting it at its enemies, it patches up the opening scars in its flesh. This always ends with a sandstone statue with an infested carcass inside. They can't move very quickly during the process, so it would only be a threat if it catches you off guard. It looks as if they decay faster while encased in sand. Speed stingers are a very big threat during this time. If one is infected, the rest are sure to follow under the plague's effects. This dragon becomes more aggressive, fast, and deadly. Due to their size, they fall apart rather quickly, and end up running so fast at their victims that their legs may fall off upon impact or slowing down. Any areas populated by these dragons should be avoided at all costs. If the pack should find you, pray to Odin that you are given a quick death. An infected Typhumarang is much less of a danger than I thought. I didn't even think they could get infected due to their hot nature. I suppose those infected are old or sick, so it's a rare occurrence. I believe that because of their size. It takes much longer for the parasites to shut down the brain, but will still weaken and damage the body as they progress. I found this one with its head raised as if it were stargazing. I almost didn't notice until I realized the breeze was the beast's breathing. It didn't notice me. I caught another new behavior later on the same night. I found the unfortunate dragon. Other Typhumarangs had gathered around it and seemed to be performing some kind of ritual to say their goodbyes. Almost like a funeral. They knew not to get too close, but they all spewed fire up into the sky and let a chorus of cries and shrieks all through the woods. Once they were done after a few hours, they put the dying Typhumarang alight to kill off the rest of the infection. Then, as soon as they showed up, they flew off into the night. I wonder if they knew the heat would kill the parasites. Perhaps they're even more intelligent than we thought. No longer able to control its amber spit, an infected death song will leave a hearted trail wherever it goes. From its jaw hangs the dried amber that it leaks out, and sometimes causes the mouth to stick shut. Upon observation, I found that they still try to sing despite their lungs and vocal cords failing. For hours, it will stand with its mouth agape, desperate to sing despite it losing its mind to the plague. All that comes out are hisses and an echo at best. They hunt their victim similarly to how they would while alive, but I prefer not to repeat the sickening process. I doubt I'll sleep well tonight. The Timberjack functions as an organic guillotine upon infection. No longer able to fly, it entangles itself among the trees and thick woods and waits for an unfortunate victim to cross its path. Any animal or Viking will be decapitated, or depending on the state of its wings, impaled. This one caught me off guard and left me with a nasty scar. That's real. I didn't think squirrels could be infected, but then I came across this one near the deceased bewilderbeast's former lair. The ice has begun to melt in its absence. I suppose this one was hibernating when the worms thawed just enough to burrow and reproduce beneath its skin. Luckily, I saw it before it could bite up my head off. It sparked and hissed, but I don't think it can use its lightning without burning its parasites. I believe these dragons may have remnants of their former consciousness, but it's been rewired to preserve its own parasites. I'm not certain, though I hope Hiccup returns soon.
Let's cauldron.
We haven't seen many Scauldrons as I thought we would, but it still happens at least once a week. They beach themselves on our shores and frighten our livestock. They no longer spit boiling water, but they still seem to have the instincts for it. Instead of water, they spew their own rotting fluids at any moving creature. It's cold and sticky, and I haven't found a solution for the smell yet. Almost each time we see its jaw cavity has rotted and fallen off. It seems as if they're still somewhat conscious and are able to somewhat feel pain. The village complains of the noise when they show up, mostly at night.
Whispering death.
Whispering Deaths are the first recorded dragons to specifically prefer humans, particularly the weak, old, and young. We need to find more defense nocturnal dragons that can chase them off, because at night, they seek any openings into a house while the village sleeps. And will try to snatch Vikings from their beds. They actually found 3 victims so far, one being an elder of the village, and 2 being children. The children survived after being cut from its stomach and are currently recovering. They keep telling us that the dragon told them secrets, but can't seem to explain what they are. Dragons don't speak, so this is just likely a fear-induced hallucination. Bone nappers are relatively easy to avoid, to stay out of boneyards and burial grounds. Even if you find yourself in their territory, most of them have become more skeletal than their armor and are simply too weak to ambush. Still, you should be careful. The ones that can't run will still wait for you to get close enough to strike. Out of curiosity, I threw a stone near one of the hiding bone napper husks. It burst up and snapped wildly, throwing other bones around in the process. Then I just sank back to the hide again, the wounded. I found that the bites and scratches from husks, while not infectious, are still dangerous. Unlucky Vikings have been getting necrosis and severe infections in their wounds. I'm going to recruit some Scauldron riders to help any of the named... What the fuck does that say? I'm going to recruit some Scauldron riders to help any of the named prevent infections. I wonder how Goth is handling the plague. I should visit her soon. An infected snapper collection of heads don't all get infected at once. This was proven by one I came across at a river rank. One head had died, but not from the plague. It seems to have been bitten by the other already infected heads. Another head on the other side still hasn't succumbed to the illness. It's mid-stage, but too far gone to save even if I tried to find it. I followed the sickly sweet aroma it emitted, like poison flowers. It didn't smell as nauseating as other husks. I sent some dragon riders to dispatch it.
The Cavern Crasher.
The Cavern Crasher is surprisingly quick in the caves. You can tell when a cave is infected if the walls are sticky and red rust colored. Some of this sticky substance can form similar to weeds. It is incredibly flammable, so if you have a torch, you should keep an escape plan in mind. The substance is a mix of the dragon's foamable mucus and its own bodily fluids. Be light on your feet too, these dragons are quick. Be light on your feet too. These dragons are very quick and keep their collapsible ribcage even after death. They will snap you up and drag you deeper into the cave until your body gets crushed from the narrow walls or until you bleed out. Another warning, you can't wash the smell out of your clothes. After learning about the Cavern Crasher, we get a visual with the evolution of the infectious parasite, as well as more information regarding its biology. The egg and larval stage of the parasites aren't very dangerous yet. This stage is completely unnoticeable. I believe that once the eggs hatch, the larvae use the sticky proteins they produce to stick to the stomach as their mouth parts develop. At the adolescent phase, the parasite digs through the stomach and climbs to the brain. The dragon will likely feel itchy, but not quite painful yet, as the parasites are still tiny. Once they reach the brain, the symptoms begin. The adult stage is the most common phase found in almost husks, or fresh husks. At this stage, the dragon is essentially a walking corpse. This phase is long and skinny, with vein tendrils that stick to the bones and tissue of the husk to keep it mobile. They work as the hive mind. I think they bite. I had to step on it. I didn't think armor wings could become infected due to their intense heat, but this one was a special case. It must have been sick of dying. Like the Typhumarang, it seems like the metal and weapons on its hide have sunken into the decaying tissue. I wonder if it's the concealing bodily fluids holding the armor together, or perhaps the fluids produced by the parasites. This dragon, when given chase, will lower its head and somehow impale it. This one's face was almost completely bone, charred as if the dragon was trying to save itself, but could no longer withstand its own flames. A Snafflefang husk is especially dangerous in wide open spaces. Upon detection, it will charge. You have a better chance in a forest or hills, but it will still destroy everything in its path to reach you. Most often, an infected Snafflefang's tail will fall off as the corpse moves due to the host's falling body. I found that in the later stages of infection, the fully grown parasites grow root-like appendages that connect to the dragon's tissue to hold it together. It seems that the tail is just too heavy and rots off too quickly for this stage.
Smothering smoke breath.
A smothering smoke breath husk colony is like a trip to Niflheim. The smoke they produce isn't as hot as the living ones, but it's even more suffocating. The smoke smells like charred, rotting corpse and stings the eyes and orifices. It may cause infections, so if you come across smoke that doesn't feel quite warm enough, leave the area. Use a long object to test the ground. If you fall into a nest, pray that they will reach you before you choke to death in the putrid fog. One thing you should know about me is that I absolutely hate worms. I learned what a botfly was as a kid and I was never the same since. So seeing these things, fucking hated it. Usually I'm not a big fan of these massive info dumps infection AUs tend to do, but considering this is How to Train Your Dragon and that the aesthetic of the pages is very nice, I'll give it a pass this time. Like I think it works well for this specific infection AU. Like I imagine it's very difficult to keep this series updated while also making the designs as detailed as possible. With infection AUs, it's always, let's turn this cute character into a fucking Lovecraftian entity. But all of these dragons are already monstrosities. Saying that being a regular person in this world is terrifying would be an understatement. I also appreciate the artists for adding these other dragons. How to Train Your Dragon has one of the best worlds an animated franchise could make, so it's cool to see all these inclusions. Now I'm just worried about the kaiju level dragons. There's one more post that involves Dagger, but we also learn this infection could infect humans. Jesus fucking Christ, man. The messenger. Fate has finally smiled upon us this evening, and just received a letter from Dagger, crudely tied to a frightened terrible terror. He found Hiccup and another dragon. He didn't explain much. What a waste of paper. Him and Hiccup will return soon from what he wrote. Found Hiccup and Toothless. Light Fury is dead. Found a dragon. Be there soon. Dagger. I woke up this morning to dreadful news. Before the sun had risen, frightened Vikings came to inform me that a human corpse roamed our streets. Upon hearing it, I knew exactly what this meant. It was a nameless body, almost skeletal, riddled with holes and parasitic worms that were writhing beneath the last flaps of skin. I had heard of rumors of an infected human, but this confirmed it. Reluctantly, my team and I took it to be studied. After that, we need to incinerate his corpse as soon as humanly possible. Upon first inspection, I can affirm that the human body decomposes faster than that of fishes and dragons, leading me to believe that the worms can devour soft flesh better than scales. If only he had caught it sooner, we could have stopped the infection process. Day 2. The body is missing. Overall, I really enjoyed this infection AU. The designs of the dragons were disturbing, and the looks of the characters were uncanny, which reflected the whole emotion behind this world and the stakes we're up against. This series also takes great advantage of the overarching world of How to Train Your Dragon. Infection AUs are usually hit or miss for me, so I'm glad the one based on one of my favorite childhood movies was a hit. Although, the series is not perfect. I would have much preferred a show not tell kind of situation, rather than just getting all this lore dumped on us. Though to be fair, that would require a lot of detail, and it's only the beginning anyway. I know there's a cure, but other than that, there's not really too much these characters could do against this whole infection. I don't think the story is going to have a happy ending. As good as this AU was and how well my AU videos do, I don't want to be the infection AU guy forever. I'll try to have both infection AU stuff, but also my passion project videos on the side as well, just to switch things up a bit and build that audience. I'm for sure doing that Flash Games video, like I'm not gonna keep edging you guys on it. The Flash Games video is coming, and I'm very 50-50 on making a server blight video. I know I said I was going to make one, and I know a lot of you guys want me to make one, but there's plenty of good video essays on the actual series itself. Although, in the Flash Games video, I do have a special surprise regarding server blight, so stay tuned for that video to come out. Anyways, take care of yourselves, and of course, as usual, please have yourselves a damn good one.